Hey, fellow YouTubers. JJ the Trucker coming to you from the Appalachian Mountains of, I don't know, Virginia maybe? Might be in Tennessee already. I just left Kentucky, I think. It's kind of in that area right there. I'm heading south and from Kentucky towards Tennessee, and you got just the tip of Virginia in there somewhere. I know it's been a minute, hasn't it? It's been a while since my last video, and you know, just like the rainy weather right now, this gloomy weather that we got going on right now, that's kind of how I've been feeling lately. And you know, I like to have my videos positive and upbeat, and you know, always looking at the bright side and all that. And whoo, I gotta tell you, it's been a challenge doing that. It's been a challenge, you know, and not that you know, that it's that way every single day, but the days that I've been okay are also the days I've been really busy trying to you know, get things taken care of. I've had a lot to do, but yeah, okay, I'm just gonna lay it out on the line here. I'm not all that happy with Landstar. I'm really not. You know, there are a lot of things I miss about Prime, no doubt. And you know, I left Prime on good terms, and you know, nothing against Prime at all. Except maybe, you know, now I'm spoiled not going 65, and I don't know that I'd want to go back to that necessarily. You know, and there's a couple of other little things, but yeah, still, you know, I don't know. That option may be on the table, but I would like to look for something else first to see if there is anything else kind of like a Landstar, you know, maybe something that has, you know, that where we can get directly onto the real load boards, not a Landstar or a company load board. Because here's the thing. One, I'm not happy with Landstar's tech support. They just have not been able to solve technical issues very well. Overall minor, will probably end up getting, you know, stuff resolved good enough eventually, but that's fairly minor. Landstar's sitting duck policy, ooh, that is a challenge. It's a doable challenge. If you don't know what that is, basically, we can't just park anywhere. We have to be, you know, if there's marked parking spots in a truck stop, we have to be in a marked parking spot. We can't create a spot. We can't park on ramps or off ramps, not even the very beginning or ends, like, you know, at rest stops. You know, those beginnings and ends of ramps are still good, legit parking spots, but nope, if the ramp has begun or has not ended yet, then nope, cannot park there. Can't park on a shoulder. We have to, if we park anywhere, whether it's a driveway, you know, anywhere, it has to be 14 feet from the roadway. You know, and I get it, you know, it's insurance purposes, keeping premiums low and all that stuff, but man, it's a challenge because there are more drivers than there are parking spots in a lot of places. And it really ties our hands because now we have to pull in and park earlier than, you know, than we really need to, earlier than other drivers. And because if we don't and we can't find a parking spot, we could be, you know, in a world of hurt. We don't have a lot of options there. So it's a real challenge. So it shortens up the day, not to mention, you know, the hours are a lot shorter now after the time change. And with winter coming, it's starting to get dark in some of these areas at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, you know? And when it starts getting dark is when all the drivers pull in and stop, which means, you know, I'm stopping my day at, you know, 5:30 in the afternoon, you know, to not risk it. Unless I know I'm going to an area with a good large truck stop in the middle of nowhere or whatever, that's gonna have parking later on. But other than that, yeah, it's more of a challenge. And then considering the fact that the biggest issue, the agents trying to book these loads, I'm telling you, that's my biggest issue, dealing with agents. And they're Landstar agents. They're Landstar contractors, just like the drivers are. The difference is Landstar puts the agents on a pedestal because they're the ones bringing in the money, and the drivers are just like, whatever. Drivers come and go. We're kind of like peons. They don't really care. If there's a dispute between the agent and the driver, they will always take the agent's side, in my experience. So it's been a challenge. So let me tell you a little bit about this challenge here. So before you even apply at Landstar, you have to go through a webinar regarding their load board. And it's basically to promote how great and wonderful their load board is. And so you go and you do this webinar, and you see there are a ton of loads, like so many loads. There's way more loads than there are drivers. So you should never have a problem being able to find a load, a good paying load. And they do an interactive part where you can ask them, hey, I want to go from this city to this city, with this type of a van, and they pull up the loads and they show you how many tons of loads there are, in all these areas. And you're like, oh man, I'm never gonna have a problem finding a load. I'm never gonna have a problem getting home for home time. I'm never gonna have a problem finding anything. These loads pay great, etc., etc. Well, the reality is not as such. The loads do pay well. Okay, so money-wise, I'm fine. Okay, it does pay more than I'm still making more than I was at Prime, so that'd be another issue right there. But all those loads, they're not real. They're so you're informed that that there's, while you're in orientation, that there's thousands of these agents. And if you don't like an agent, you don't have to work with them. There's so many agents to choose from. It's no big deal. But they put you in the mindset of, we need to butter up to the agents and send them gifts and send them, tchotchkes and send them, merchandise and business cards and keep in communication with them and take care of them for the holidays, because we get our good loads from the agents. I'm like, it really should be the other way around. There's more loads than there are agents. More loads than there are drivers. Should be the other way around, but of course that's not the case. So you go and look at these loads, and some agents go out and get their own customers, their own dedicated customers. Okay, they got dedicated runs, dedicated customers, and they keep their load board. They keep the load board up to date. No big deal. But what seems to be the very high majority of the agents don't do that. They work with brokers. Okay, brokers have their own customers, and brokers basically are reselling the load to anybody and everybody. Now they're putting the load. Let's say they get a load. A broker gets a load from XYZ Corporation. This broker does not work for Landstar. Okay, they got their own company, whatever, and they get a load from XYZ Corporation. It pays X amount. Well, they put it on all the public load boards. Okay, and they tell Landstar and all the agents that Landstar, that they work with Landstar, they tell, and all these other companies, Prime, I'm assuming, and Expo, I'm assuming, and many, many, many others. So they've got this one load blasted out to a whole bunch of places, including multiple Landstar agents. Okay, so you get duplicates. That's number one, duplicates. You will look and sometimes see the same load listed, 2, 3, 4, 8. I've seen 12 different times the same exact load. And you might be thinking, well, maybe they just have multiple loads going out. No, I've called and tested this theory out, and no, that is not the case. It's the same exact load. So do they really have all those loads listed there when they've got so many duplicates? No, not really. The next problem is the loads are outdated. So all these agents that are getting these loads from brokers, the brokers are basically sending the agents an updated list, generally hourly, saying, okay, here are all the new loads that we've got. Go ahead and post them. So the agents will post all the new loads, but they won't take down loads that have already been covered unless they themselves cover them. Why? Because they don't want to bother with it. They don't want to deal with the extra time it's going to take them to do it. So what happens is we drivers are going through the load board looking for loads, and we've got to piece one load together to another, and does the time work out? Does the money work out? Does the deadhead time work out? There's some calculating and some time spent that we need to do that, and then we call the agent. It looks good, so we call the agent, and we get okay, hold on, let me call the broker and see if this load is still available. My initial thought when I first started was, it's on the load board, it better be available still. You've got it posted on the load board. Why would it not be available? Well, for the reasons I just told you, it's blasted out to everybody. So I'd say 8 times out of 10, that load is already covered. I've even called on loads that were just posted, like within minutes. I see it posted, I call, they call the broker, oh, that load's already been covered. Man, so now there are loads on the board that are days old, and you might as well not call on those. I've wasted my time calling on those. Nope, that load's covered. That load's covered. That load's covered. That load's covered. That's all I get all day long when trying to book loads. That load's been covered. At one point, the one that I saw 12 different loads, same exact load, I called the first one, and oh yeah, that load's been covered, and it had been sitting there on all 12 of these 12 of these load boards, or all 12 of these agents for, I'd say, I think it was close to a full day. Okay, so I called the first one. Oh yeah, it's been covered. So I called the second one. Oh yeah, it's been covered. In fact, they said it's been covered. It was covered yesterday. All right, so I called the next one. Oh yeah, load was covered yesterday. Oh, next one, yesterday. All 12 of them, that load's been covered. How ridiculous is that? So a huge waste of time trying to get these loads booked and trying to get things pieced together. So then the next thing is, you remember I was saying, if you don't like an agent, you don't have to work with them. Well, problem is, these agencies use multiple different codes. We only see the agency codes. It's a 3-letter code basically. So when we're booking it, we only see the 3-letter code. Now we do have a tool where separate tool where we can go through a search process and search for it to see what broker they're from and stuff like that. But what they don't tell you is that some of these agencies have multiple individual agents or employees. They sound like minimum wage employees, but I could be wrong about that. But they've got multiple employees, and each employee has their own code. So you've got some of these agencies that have 40 plus codes. And one of the agencies I don't like working with. They're not good. They're micromanagers. They're constantly, hey, where are you at? What's your ETA to the shipper? Are you there yet? Have you been loaded yet? I mean, they're constantly calling and texting, just constantly. It's like, man, we have a tracking tool for that. Use the tracking tool. But they don't do that. They constantly call and bug and micromanage you. It's like, how many times Prime, my fleet manager, called me to ask me what was going on or what was happening or where I was at? One time, once. And the reason he did that is because I was going to run out of hours on my 70-hour clock. So it was legit. But these guys, man, they just bug and bug and bug. So I put them on my do not use list, but I didn't realize that there are 40 codes. So of course they've got, since there's so many agents, they've got a huge chunk of the loads. So pretty much have no choice but to use them anyway. Or, and even when you see the code, you don't know if that, what real agency that belongs to unless you go through, spend even more time looking it up. And you see that, it's part of this same agency. Never mind. I don't want to do that. So yeah, it's, and then to rub more salt into it, a lot of these duplicates are from these same agencies. So you have one agency that has multiple agents, and 4 or 5 of their agents will have the same duplicate loads booked. Like, come on. it's ridiculous. So trying to book loads is a pain in the butt. Loads get canceled all the time. Trying to get home for the holidays. Thanksgiving's coming up, and I've been trying for weeks, a couple weeks now, or no, it's a week away from today, and I've been trying for a full week to get loads chained together to get back home, and it's been a major challenge. I finally got it. It took 5 loads chained together to get me back home just in time, like I'd be arriving there Thanksgiving morning. But finally did it. So what happens this morning? Load cancels. The load that I had already unloaded yesterday, okay, and was on my way to pick this up. I already was a 3.5 hour deadhead, because that's how desperate I was to get these loads chained together. 3.5 hour deadhead. I had already deadheaded for about 2.5 hours, and then got the call, the load's been canceled. Oh, man. So now that the load's been canceled, that means that I'm not going to be at the destination for the next load, or the next load, or the next load, which is the load to get me to California. So I'm sitting there in a Walmart parking lot for hours trying to put the pieces back together, trying to find loads that are going to get me to Alabama, where I need to go. Okay, nothing that I can find going to Alabama. Okay, how about going to this area? How about going to that area? Anything. Okay, how about starting a brand new chain? Nothing. Well, very little. Okay, I did find another chain. Okay, take me out I had to go deadhead 2.5 hours to Virginia to pick up a load that had 5 drops in Texas to take me to another city in Texas, deadhead to another city in Texas, which would take me out to California and deliver on Thanksgiving Day. So I booked those loads. Everything was good. I'm now deadheading over to Virginia, and the Texas agent calls me back saying, oh, we're really sorry. This is a daily run that we get, and so we just posted automatically every day, but we didn't apparently realize that this was delivery on Thanksgiving Day, and they're closed on Thanksgiving Day, so this run actually isn't happening. I'm like, well, I can deliver it the day after. I've actually delivered the day before. You've got plenty of time. They're like, no, there's no order for it, so there was never any load. It should never have been put on the load board. I'm like, okay, well, do you have something going the next day? Nope, that's already been covered. How about the previous day? Nope, that's already been covered. So now I have to call the customer in Virginia back, or the agent in Virginia back, and find a place to park and figure all this out and cancel that load. I'm like, are you kidding me? Because now what's the point of going to Texas? I tried finding some from Texas to California already, and there's just nothing. So it's one thing after another. It's just the level of inaccurate information. That's another thing. You look at a load that's on the load board, and there's so much inaccurate information. It'll be labeled as not hazmat. You call them, and it's hazmat. It'll be labeled as 1 pickup, 1 drop, and there's 5 stops. Or you call them, and they tell you, oh, there's 5 stops in between. One of them, oh, this was a really good load coming out of California. I was very happy. I think I mentioned it was a $10,000 load coming out of California. This was right before my last video, or right after my last video. So I think I may have mentioned it in my in that last video. So I'm like, okay, and they say, oh yeah, so it's a live load at in Los Angeles, and it's a drop over in Virginia, Roanoke, Virginia. Drop up 48 hours. And I'm like, okay, well, that tells me it's a drop and hook, and I can be there up to 48 hours early. Okay, that's the terminology that is used. So that load ended up canceling, but he found me another one that was almost as good. Took that same deal, same contract, same pickup location, just different delivery location. It was fine. It was up in Pennsylvania, whatever. So I took that. I deliver it, And they're like, okay, go ahead and drop your trailer in this spot. I'm like, okay, where are your empties? And they're like, oh, we don't have any empties. I'm like, well, what do you mean you don't have? They're like, no, this isn't a drop and hook. This is a drop. Excuse me? I call the agent. They're like, no, it's a drop for 48 hours. I'm like, yeah, I'm here on time. I didn't need the, I'm not here up to 48 hours early. I'm here on time. They're like, no. What we mean is you drop the trailer and then bobtail away and wait up to 48 hours for your trailer to be emptied, and then you go pick up your empty trailer. It's not a drop and hook. So basically sitting around 2 days, and of course the customer saying, well, they said 48 hours, it's actually about 72 hours. 3 days of sitting after doing a load. Are you kidding? Basically, it's their way of being able to do a live unload without having to pay detention and layover. They can just take their time. How ridiculous is that? So I ended up finding an SOS load or a repower. Somebody's truck had broke down. It was 5 hours of deadhead, or five hours of bobtailing to go pick up this trailer and finish the delivery. But I got a trailer and I made my next. But because of all that, my 3 loads that I had booked after that, I had to cancel. So it's just, I know I'm ranting, and this is not typical of any of my videos, I know, but I'm getting older. But man, this just shows the level of frustration I'm dealing with these load boards, with these agents and the Landstar load board. And you call customer service about any of this stuff, Landstar's customer service, which is the department you're supposed to call if you've got a problem with agents, and they're like, it's okay, so sorry that happened, but that happens. It's basically like, yeah, we're used to it. It happens. Nothing's gonna change. Deal with it or move on. They don't really seem to care. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So what I'm doing now, because of all these cancellations and stuff, I'm basically skipping that next load, the one that got canceled, and deadheading all the way down to Alabama. 7.5 total from where I was originally. Total of 9 hours of deadhead driving. 9 hours of deadhead driving, just so I could get back on track. Get the chain, so I can get this load picked up, delivered where it's supposed to go, pick that load up, deliver where it's supposed to go, pick up that load, and go out to California so I can be with my family for Thanksgiving. Yeah, so that's what's going on, and let's see if these loads stay intact or if any of them get canceled. I have no idea. But yeah, for everybody who said, that they want to be able to pick their own loads, instead of going through Prime and have a dispatcher and all that, because they want to make sure that they're getting home for their home time. I'm telling you, Prime never, ever had an issue getting me home whenever I requested it and giving them 2 weeks notice. Here, it's been a challenge. It has been a challenge each time I wanted to go to a specific destination. So, not extremely happy about that. So anyway, now I'm worried about Christmas. Being able to get home for Christmas. I don't know what I'm going to do there yet. Haven't even tried to put that together. But yeah, we got plans for Christmas. We'll see what happens. So anyways, I am at least gonna, not make any moves until after the holidays, because I've got enough going on, enough to deal with. But I'd say after the holidays, I'm definitely going to be looking at alternatives. So if you guys have any good options, companies, and stuff like that, I definitely want to remain an owner-op. Don't want to go company. I would like to do something where I'm picking my own loads from the real load boards. Working directly with the brokers. I can negotiate with them. I can, get real direct information from them. That's what I'm looking for. That would really help out. And then, yeah, just a company that doesn't, oh man, I tell you, people were saying, oh yeah, Landstar doesn't micromanage you like Prime does. Oh man, I never felt Prime micromanaged me at all as an owner op, or even as a lease op. At Landstar, wow, yeah, there's some definite micromanaging going on there. So yeah, so I'm looking for a look. I'm not, unless it's a significant weather event. I've never been late. Never been late for a pickup. Never been late for a delivery. You know, I want to be able to just book a load, pick it up, deliver it, and go on to my next load. You know, nice, simple, easy. Let me do my job. I'm good at it. I can do it. You know, that's the kind of place I'm looking for. So if y'all have any ideas, please leave it in the comments. I appreciate it. Man, okay. There's more I can rant about and everything, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to be, you know, trying to spend the rest of my day trying to be happy that at least, as long as these next loads don't cancel or have any problems, I will be seeing my family for the holidays. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. So cross your fingers for me. Hopefully everything's good. Trying to end on a positive note here. All right, guys. Thank you for your patience. I know it's been, somebody told me it's been like a month. It only feels like it's been a week, but they said it feels like a month since my last video. I'm sorry about that. I owe y'all better than that. I just, yeah, I already gave my excuses at the beginning of the video. So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. Thank you for hanging in there with me. I appreciate it. I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.